Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first episode of a new series, so to speak, a recurring series that I'm going to have here on the channel, and I will tell you a little bit more about it in a moment. But first, let me say a huge thank you to all of you wonderful ladies who bought my spring journals for me, and thank you so much for your support, and also a huge thank you to all of you that have been ready to support my little shop by purchasing the journals. They went out so quickly, and also I did have some mix-up with the time I posted them. I am so sorry about this, guys. I don't know what happened. I guess I've been a little bit out of it lately, just with the stress and everything, and I don't want to make any excuses, but the journals did go to my Etsy earlier than they were supposed to, so I am very, very, very sorry about this. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I literally, I cried when I saw how quickly they sold, because I was so touched and just so happy and so grateful. And then when I realized what I've done with the time, I cried again because I was so upset with myself. So that was an emotional day, and yeah, so I'm sorry for the confusion, and I'm also again very, very grateful, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. So back to today's video. This is going to be a sort of a series here that maybe not, it's not going to be a video after video, but just some recurring videos from time to time. And I called it Scraphemera, and I think that the name is quite self-explanatory. So we are going to be using our scraps, not only like paper scraps, but also all the things that we have lying around and we don't use or we don't want to use anymore, and we are going to be using it to make different ephemera, and it's going to be so much fun. I think I love making ephemera. I love just coming up with new ideas for ephemera, and also being inspired by other crafters out there and kind of scrap lifting their projects. So this is what we are going to be making here, and this idea came to me when I was sorting through my scraps the other day. As you may know, I live in a very tiny space, and I kind of have to be creative about how I organize my crafting stuff. So I used to keep my scraps in a box, and it was very comfortable, I guess, because I would just finish a project, gather up all my scraps and throw them into the box and forget about them. And yeah, and that was the problem, because I would forget about them and I wouldn't use them. I wouldn't go back to this box because there were so many and so chaotic. So let me show you quickly how I'm now organizing my scraps. So this huge, it's big, it's a little bigger than A4, I would say, but it's a sort of a file folder maybe. So this is what I now keep my scraps in. And I decided to kind of categorize them. Sorry if there's a glare from my lamp, but I decided to categorize them and put them into separate page protectors. So I have a few categories. I have neutrals with some kind of text and pattern, but neutral colors like browns, gold, sometimes white, etc. Then I have color scraps, so pieces of scrapbooking paper, digital paper, some wallpaper, everything that's colorful. I then have those which are blank, and these are great for like backing my tags or for base pieces for ephemera. So these are basically all blank. Then I have a separate binder for, I hope the glare isn't too much, for book pages, book page scraps, a separate one for Edith Holden because, well, it's Edith Holden, I love her. The separate one for like tiny scraps, and the separate one for scraps that are very sort of theme related. So I have some Christmas and some celestial themed scraps in here. And so when I was going through my scraps box, it was such an ordeal really to go through all of this, and I decided then that something has to be done. And yeah, and to sort of motivate me, I decided I would do a YouTube series out of it, so we could all craft together and get rid of our scraps and maybe inspire each other. And yeah, and so this is what I came up with for the first project. Also, this is not going to be just using scraps. I wouldn't like to, you know, limit myself to just the scraps, but definitely the scraps need to be used to create some of it. So this is the project. This is actually the main project. And so what this is like a floating pocket or a floating journaling card with a pocket. And the main piece is this sort of a meadow or a garden of flowers behind a tracing paper layer. And so this is the background, and it's awesome. It has awesome texture. There are some die cuts here and some fussy cut flowers. Hope you can see it on camera. And it's backed with ledger paper. And then it has this pocket that was made out of scraps from my scrap stash and some Tracy Fox label and just a little piece of lace that I aged. So this is the front, then this is the back. So this is just a journaling card on the back and some more scraps to kind of tie the front with the back a little bit. Also a little flower charm through an eyelet, just a decoration really. And then I made a quick journaling card using some more scraps. And also the main thing that I use to create these is project life cards. So I'm using project life cards, I'm using some scraps and some other elements, as you will see in a moment. And this is just simple as that, and it goes right here, and I just love how it looks. It's so cute. So yeah, so this is what we are going to be making today. And I have here some project life cards, and just in case you don't know what they are like journaling cards used primarily for this scrapbooking type pocket scrapbooking called Project Life, where you put your cards into sort of page protectors or photo protectors, and you journal on them and you add photos and whatnot. And I used to do it, I don't do it anymore, and I also have just loads of these cards that just, you know, don't fit my style anymore, and I don't use them. I wouldn't use a card like this, for example, in my current journals. So I decided to upcycle them, I guess, and make something else out of them that I will actually enjoy. And so yeah, so I have my scraps just here in front of me. I have my Project Life cards, and these are 3 by 4 inches and 4 by 6 inches. This is actually nice, but still it's just not something I would use. And okay, and so let me show you how we are going to do it, and I think we can make a few of those. We will see how we go with time. Maybe 4. I like doing things in bulk because, well, first of all, I like crafting. So when I have a project that I like, it's nice for me to kind of do it a few times so I can enjoy it, so I can sort of remember it better, remember, you know, all the steps that I took. But I also work faster this way, and I like to make a lot of journals and a lot of things at the same time. This is the way I like to work best. Okay, so what you will need for this is just one larger project life card. This again is 4x6, but you can just cut your cardstock or your scrap piece of paper this size, and it will be just fine. And one smaller one, this is 3x4, and we are going to be making our pockets out of this. But I do think we will like cut them, make them shorter a little bit, like this, because we are going to have our meadow, our garden in a way here, so we don't want to cover too much of it. So let me take my cutter, and let's say I will be cutting them to 5 centimeters maybe, so 2 inches, about 2 inches. Okay, so we have our pockets cut like this, and I also think, because I like the rounded corners, as you can see here, I think we can go ahead and round the corners of our big cards now. This is of course not obligatory. If you prefer your straight corners, just feel free to leave them as they are. And for the background, so for the big card to cover it and sort of to give a background to our flowers, I think we are going to be using some ledger papers from Tailor-Made Journals. You've heard me talk about Lorna so many times already, but I love her shop so much. So let me get my binder. Okay, so this here is another binder that I sort of used to organize my stuff, and in here, again in page protectors, I just keep my papers for collaging, and my papers for collaging I usually print just on regular copy paper. So I have a lot of Lorna's beautiful wallpapers, I have some Tracy Fox, but what I'm looking for is some printable ledgers from Lorna, and I think I have them here. Let me see. So we have this. These are nice. This is pretty. Just choose whatever you like for the background. Just maybe not too like too busy, because it's going to be busy anyway with the flowers. But I guess you're not going to see that much of it when we cover it up with the flowers anyway. So I think I want this one. Yeah, I like this. And maybe, oh, this is so cool. Yeah, maybe this one. So as you can see, I'm choosing sort of lighter. Oh, this is not very light, but I love it too. Softer colors, and maybe. Okay, I think we are good to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to glue my cards straight onto the other side of these printed pages, and then just cut around them. And I'm using glue stick because, as usual with my projects, I am going to be sewing around with my sewing machine. But if you don't plan to do it, just make sure you use enough glue to sort of hold your journaling card in place. you know, guys, don't feel bad about reusing things and covering up the whole like thing that you used to like. We change, you know, our taste changes, our style changes, and it's all natural. And I used to feel, you know, like bad about reusing these, sort of not in a way they were meant to be used, but then they kept like piling up these things that I don't use, and yet I don't reuse them. And because I have this little space I live in, I just can't have it, you know. I can't let things like this and scraps just keep piling up on me, because I need a space to live and to craft. I love this. It's so pretty. Love these ledger papers. Okay, so yeah, so let me know how you store your scraps and how you use them, or do you have a problem like me that you hoard them, you know, you gather up every tiny bit of paper or fabric, and then you never actually use it, because then I hope that this series, this Scraphemera series, will just give you some ideas and some inspiration for digging them up, and this is nice, and using them and cleaning up your scraps box or scraps drawer, wherever you keep your scraps. And thank you guys for all of your kind wishes after my last video, when I mentioned my dog had to undergo a surgery. You were also kind and sweet, and it was a difficult time, but hopefully this is over. She's happy again, and she's very cheeky and energetic again, so she's basically herself again, and that's amazing. That's she's my first dog, you know. She's my first dog, and I didn't know what to expect with her and the surgery, and it was so difficult, but thankfully it's all over now. So thank you for your kind wishes. She's well, and she's a happy puppy. Okay, and we have these, and I love them. Oh my goodness. And you can see with these ledger backgrounds, you could just use them like this, like journaling cards, just add something on the background, and wow, they are gorgeous. So we are not going to stop here, however, and what I have here is my box that you might have seen already. It's full of fussy cut elements and just some botanical die cuts, and so we are going to be choosing at least a few beautiful flowers for each of these backgrounds. So with this, I'm honestly like going to improvise, and remember that you are going to have your pockets like 2 inches from the bottom, so you don't have to go down all the way down, but rather keep them a little bit higher so they are still visible when we add our pockets. So what would I want with these? This would look pretty here. So okay, I actually have so many of these, and a funny thing is that I used to hate fussy cutting, absolutely hate fussy cutting, and then I don't know what happened, but I started I started to like it, and I think it's so relaxing now. I just sit, you know, I can sit in the evening with some tea and some Netflix or YouTube. I like watching other crafters craft with me videos when I'm doing this. And I think the key is not to try to be perfect, because I don't think it's, well, it is possible, I guess. There are people whose fussy cutting skills are just outstanding, but I'm not one of those people, and I don't even aspire to be one of them. I want a rough border, white border around my fussy cut images, and I don't mind it at all. Okay, and we need something for the last one, and I guess I could make myself another ephemera holder and put these in there. I saw who did I see? Rachel, I think, Rachel from Roxy Creations. She has them sorted by color, and it's, oh my goodness, this is so organized. I'm not, you know, the most organized crafter, but I'm trying my best, and that's hence the the cleaning of the scraps box. Okay, maybe like this. I like it. Okay, so I have roughly 3 flowers on each one. I'm not so sure about this one though. Maybe I would like to change it for something. Maybe this purple is a bit too much for me. Yeah, maybe. I think I like this better. And I'm also going to choose just a few die cuts. Like, oh yeah, this is nice. Although it's a bit big, this one under here. And the die cuts are nice because, like I said, I used a heavier cardstock to cut them out, so they give like slightly more texture to the whole collage. I'm not sure if I can call it a collage, but you know what I mean. They give a little bit more texture, and especially, you know, behind the vellum piece. Okay, maybe this one here. And also, don't worry if your sort of piece here is looking too busy, because we are going to cover it with tracing paper, and tracing paper will just sort of mute everything and push it into the background, so it can be a little bit busy, you know. Don't worry about it. It's going to look just fine when you cover it with your tracing paper. And I don't have any method of doing it, as you can clearly see. I'm just placing them sort of randomly, the colors that I like, the patterns that I like, and we will see what we get in the end. Maybe this one here, and I think I would like one more for this piece here. By the way, die cutting, using your die cuts and your die cut machine is a great way of using scraps too, and I have to do it more often. I just have to, you know, sit down with my scraps, with my dies, and just use them like that. Okay, I think I like it. And before I change my mind, I'll just start gluing these. That's what I do. That's sort of my method for fighting perfectionism. Because if I start thinking about like the placement of each piece here, I'm never going to finish anything, and I'm always going to be not 100% satisfied with what I've created. And this is just so not the point of creativity. It's not about being perfect. It's about just having fun. Yeah, okay. I like it. We are going to cut off the excess here. Sorry if I sound a little bit rumbly or tangenty to you guys today. I've had a long day, and I just felt such a need to just sit at my desk and craft, and then I thought, why don't I turn on the camera and take you with me so we can craft together. Okay, so this one is pretty much done. Let's see if our pocket, yeah, it's perfect. You know, it covers the stems here, so there is no space, and they seem to be just going out of this pocket. And with the tracing paper, it's like I said, it's all going to be more muted and pushed into the background. So let me do this one now. Okay, so we have two beautiful meadowy gardens, and you know, I like how these like these things written on ledger stand out in the background, and this date of something. It's just it just gives interest to your collaging. Even if it's all going to be covered with tracing paper, we are still going to see some of it in the background. Okay. And I was actually wondering if you could guys give me your opinion. I've been watching a lot of Andrea from Artie Maze. She is brilliant. She is, oh my goodness, I'm in awe every time she comes up with either something digital or any crafting product. I'm such a fan. But she does this thing in her videos when she is doing something repetitive, like I'm doing here right now, you know, with all of the gluing and stuff. She fast forwards it, these particular bits, sorry. And so it goes quicker. And I was wondering if you guys would like me to do it, so when I'm doing something repetitive, or when I'm doing something for the second time, would you guys want me to fast forward it, or maybe you don't mind seeing me glue things on paper and do things like that? I would love to know your opinion, because I wanted these videos to be as, you know, as pleasurable, as nice to watch for you as possible. So I'm definitely open to your suggestions and feedback. This one, and this long thin one, maybe I could Or do I want it maybe without it? Actually, here together. Yeah, maybe like this. So we're just going to cluster the two die cuts together here, like that maybe. Okay, so now let me just cut off the edges of those hanging bits. It's fine here, just a little stem here. This here. Okay, that's nice. So we have our cards. Again, they just look so cute. You could just leave them like this and use them in your journal. This is not where we are going to stop with this project. So let me quickly ink up the edges of those now. So tracing paper is, this is what I'm calling it. I'm not sure what's the difference between tracing paper and vellum. I think tracing paper is just thinner, and I've chosen the thinner one because I want to see my image in the front just a little bit muted, and also it has a nice texture and sound. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to sew around here on my sewing machine, and I'm going to get back to you in a moment. And if you don't want to sew, just use some clear glue all around here and glue your piece down. Okay, see you in a sec. Okay guys, I'm back to you, and just one thing before you sew around. If you want these to be journaling cards, before you sew around would be the time to back your project life cards with some coffee stained paper. And this is what I did, and I've just sewn around so you can see the tracing paper is here. We have coffee stained backgrounds. I love how these look, and there are these two. You can see even if we had those sort of busy backgrounds, they are all muted, and yeah, I just love them. So now we are going to be making the pocket and some little scrappy collages on the back, and I think we will do one or two together, so this video doesn't go forever. Yeah, so we have our pieces of project life cards. Let me put these aside for a moment, and I have my scraps, and I'm going to be using my neutrals and my colors, and I'm going to try to find something in these two binders to sort of match the colors that we have going on here. So you can see which one I want to do now. That's okay. So you can see we have a lot of pink and some purple here, and then some yellow and some pink on this side. So let me just see what would look nice. I like this one here, and we have this is pretty. So these could be so this is not still, it's like not the best way of organizing your scraps, you know, but I guess it's still better than what I had before. And now for the neutrals. So this is going to be my sort of background. What do I have here? I have this piece of old encyclopedia and this beautifully colored vintage piece of French book. Could use these, but I would like something maybe this could work. Yeah, I think we could use this to cover this pocket up, and then something like a bigger piece for the other pocket. Let me see. This maybe. Yeah, I think these two. So this goes aside for a while. Yeah. So I'm just going to glue this down. Like this, and this here, yeah. And again, I'm not being too careful with my glue because I'm going to be sewing around my pockets. Okay, so this is for this one. Okay, so we used a piece of the scrap, and then this goes back to where it's been. It's a never-ending story with the scraps, and yet they are usually so pretty that just don't want to throw them away, don't we? Okay. So we have our two sort of bases. Now a little bit more interest maybe with this color. So I could have like a piece of this book page here. And here maybe something, I don't want a book page. How this is too similar. I don't want like two book pages, you know, so I'm going to look for something different for this one. With some music paper. Do I have music paper? I have ledger. Yeah. Okay. Some music paper. Then this is, yeah, music paper would be good. So we can have maybe a piece like this somewhere here. Okay. Yeah. So I like how these are coming out. Just inking the edges before I glue these pieces. Right. And so what I'm trying to do here in the background, as you can see, is just to have different textures, different colors, and different types of papers. So like, sorry for shaking my desk. So like you could see, I didn't want two book pages on this one because I thought they would just be too similar and there wouldn't be enough interest in this collage. But then music page, which is a different color, just looks perfect. Okay, let me cut this right away. Now I think it's time to add a little bit of color with these colored scraps. So I'm just going to tear a piece sort of maybe have it here. And then I'm also going to add a label that could go here, and maybe some washi tape. I like it. And then this one, I chose 2 pieces. I like this. It matches the colors. Yeah, I think this one's better. So how about we do like a torn sort of border along the whole edge of the pocket, like this. Yeah, I think it's going to look nice actually. Okay, so let me glue this down, and this time I'm using my tacky glue because it's stronger than glue stick, and this is heavier cardstock. It's not, you know, thin book page. It's heavier cardstock, so so this is more secure to use, maybe like this. Okay, quickly cutting off the edges here and here so we can actually see how it looks. Okay. Yeah, I think they are pretty. Then before I go ahead, I'm going to ink the whole thing up, and I think we will need some label, and I'm probably going to be using Tracy Fox's labels as per usual, and also some lace. As you can see, I've added some lace here on the bottom, and I really like how it looks, so this is what we are going to do. So let me get my binder that we made together, and I keep my labels a little bit squishy here at my desk. Okay, I keep my labels in this. Okay, and I'm thinking we could choose from these. Oh, this is pretty. It has some the same soft pinks as this paper. This is gorgeous. And here, what do I want? So I printed these. These are antiquity labels. Oh, this is nice. Antiquity labels from Tracy Fox, and I printed them in 2 sizes. I printed them sort of the full size, and then 2 pages per page. And yeah, I think I like it. 2 pages per page, and it gave me these smaller ones, which are perfect because I like small labels. And of course they work very well with this sort of project. And I think I may actually want to use some washi tape. So let me see if these washes that I have here could work. This is maybe on here, but I think it's just a tad bit too pink. Maybe this one here. And do I want anything? I don't have anything purple. Not this one. Maybe in my other box. Oh, this. Oh, yeah. This is pretty. Okay. Yeah, my washi tapes are another thing that just I keep getting more and more, and I don't use them enough. This is nice. Okay, so too many choices isn't good, so let's work with what we have, and I think we can make it work with this one here. So I just want to have it peeking from behind of my label like this, and maybe we can actually add a little more here, so it goes just like sorry, lost for words. So it goes like this on the edge here. Okay, so this is this one, and what do we want for this? Do I want the brown? This might be too much. It's pretty, but I want the brown. And I'm going to do the same thing. It's just a piece that's going to peek out from behind my label to add some interesting texture, and just a piece here on the edge to kind of maybe like this to kind of give it some interest. Okay, yep, this is cute. Right, so let me quickly glue down my labels. Where's the glue? I don't know if it happens to you guys, but when I craft, when I start crafting, and even if my desk is like completely clean and there's nothing on it, while I craft, I tend to have less and less space, and I usually end up by the end of my projects with this tiny spot of clear space for crafting, and my stuff is just all around me. And yeah, that's usually what happens. Hope it doesn't happen while we are on the video. But okay, so now maybe we will add some lace. So I have this lace here, and it's white, but because I don't want it white, I will ink it up slightly with my vintage photo, and I'm not going to be adding ink on my blending tool, because what I have on the foam is actually enough to give it a slightly distressed vintage look, you know, this yellowish vintage look. That's perfectly enough for my little project here. Okay, I'm going to glue it with my tacky glue, but I'm smooshing the glue with my finger so that I don't get too much and it doesn't seep through the fabric, the lace. And then I'm going to sew. If you want, and maybe we can do it too, you can do a sort of a notch on your pocket to make it easier to pull things out of it, take things out of it. So let me just cut these pieces off. Okay, like this. Like this. And now the notches, yeah. So you can use a circle punch for this. I'm using my sort of, this is like a it was attached to my envelope punch board, and it just helps you to make the notches when you are folding your envelope. And this is perfect for those little spots that make it easy to take things out of your pockets. Okay, let me sew around these, and yeah, so what I'm going to do is sew around this and just glue my pocket straight onto here like this, and I'll be back with you in a sec. So I'm back, and like I said, I've just sewn around my envelopes, and I glued them with my tacky glue, the 3 sides to the backgrounds that we made, and look how cute they are. I just love them. And one more thing I want to do with you guys is the bag, because we can leave it plain, of course, but if you've watched me before, you probably know I like to pay a lot of attention to details, and it's definitely not obligatory, but we are going to do small collages that will kind of tie the front and the back of our project together. And to do this, we are actually going to use the scraps of the same papers that we used for the front. We are just going to use these same pieces on the back, like this. Maybe too big, just I don't want it, you know, too big. And maybe I like this flower like this, and just some music paper to finish it off. So you see, it's obviously not much, it's just a little decoration, and but I think it gives your project this finished look when you flip, you know, from the front to back, and you see that the pieces that you've put on the back actually match what you have on the front. Okay, so one, okay, like this, yeah, and on the back here, like that. Again, just inking up all the edges very quickly. And so on the original that I did, I also put an eyelet through the top, and I added a charm, a flower charm, on a piece of twine, and we will do it on one of those. And I guess I will do it off camera on the other, but just to show you guys what you can do. Okay, it's cute. I like it. Right. And so for the eyelet, I would choose like the side where you have less sort of flowers. So this would be this piece here for me. And I'm just going to take my crocodile and punch a hole where I want my eyelet to go in the corner, and then my box with eyelets and with heart, I guess. Okay, let me put it through like that. It's cute. And then I think I will use, for this one, I will just use a ball pin, like this, and not a twine. Like you can see here, I just use a piece of twine, which is great to just do whatever you like. And what charm could we have? Maybe this delicate leaf charm, or this. I'm not sure if the hole in the leaf is large enough. Oh, it should be. Maybe this one will be better. Okay. Right. Okay guys, so if you're still here, thank you for joining me, thank you for crafting with me. So this is what we did today. Check out my Instagram if you would like to see the other two completed. I think I just need to take a break and I will post the photos there. But basically these are our pockets. So we have a pocket here, beautiful flower gardens in the background, and some journaling space on the back. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you crafted along and used up some of your scraps, and I hope you are all well and healthy, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!